Today we are chatting with Sam Sameni, owner of SS Hospitality Group, who recently launched the latest concept in chicken QSR. It's called Hot Chicks. We're also talking with Rodrigo Maycotte, creative director over at Fortunato, the ad agency responsible for the restaurant's sizzling new look and feel. Apparently, this chicken is addictive as the creative content is hot. Let's find out why. So welcome, Rodrigo. Welcome, Sam. Thanks for this interview. So Sam, you actually started out in finance. And so how did you go from getting a degree in finance from SMU to the restaurant and nightlife world? That's got to be an interesting story.
So I was a bouncer at a nightclub in Dallas while I was attending college. And I always looked at it as a part-time gig while I finished my studies. And after I graduated, I just had the passion to continue my nightlife career, and I was going to try to do both of them concurrently, and did so for several years. But then I reached a kind of a fork in my path, which I needed to decide which route to take, and I took my entrepreneurial endeavors instead of my corporate gig.
So how did you come up with the concept of Hot Chicks? And tell us a story about how you brought in Fortunato.
Right when COVID first started, I think it was March, I had 7 businesses that were shut down overnight, primarily in the bar and nightlife field. And I started thinking of coming up with a concept to do out of our current venues. And I've always been a huge fan of the whole hot chicken trend. So we came up with Hot Chicks to, for it initially to be a delivery only concept out of our current restaurants. And it just grew to something bigger and bigger, and we just decided to do it on its own as a brick and mortar. Fortunato was referred to us by another prominent ad agency in the Dallas area. And after I told them about our concept, they highly recommended Fortunato and said that, we'd be a great fit, and connected us with person Rodrigo.
So Rodrigo, tell us the story of how, this is a pretty tight category, chicken, QSR chicken. How did you approach the creative concept on this?
Sam and Sultan, his partner, they have a really good idea of what they wanted the personality to be. They weren't afraid of wanting something bold and something to stand out. And we really just wanted to have a concept that delivered on that. Spicy chicken or Nashville hot chicken really lends itself to something that's a little bit out there, a little bit on the more fun and bolder side. And so we just wanted to make the most out of that. And it was just kind of a match made in heaven, because their personalities tied in perfectly with the type of restaurant and food that they serve and the kind of brand that they wanted to put out there.
All this content that you created is very hot. It's got fire on it. It's very vibrant. How did you decide to do that hot of an idea? There's
2 parts of it. Like, one is our, previous experience working on Chick-fil-A when I was at the Richards Group. There was a very, very valuable lesson of standing out through interesting and different creative when you're competing in a category that's crowded and other players have bigger media spends, etc. And so we tried to apply the same thinking. And then the first time we met with Sam and Sultan, I tried the chicken sandwich, and I tried the hot AF, which is their hottest flavor, and it had me in tears. I had to I couldn't get enough tissues. And so that was just kind of the thing. It was so interesting to have such a powerful flavor, and I knew that idea was going to draw people's curiosity to it. Even when you're not having the hottest flavor, it still has a little bit of a punch in the mouth. And so that's what we try to do with all the creative and the content.
And all your content was you can chime in too, Sam, but you did the menu, you did the boards, everything that goes on the wall, down to the details on the tables. It's completely A to Z branding.
We really wanted to make sure that the brand was presented consistently throughout. I think especially when you're in the hospitality business, it's the little things that count and the little things that matter. And we really like that attention to detail that Hot Chicks puts into every little thing that they do, from having customized tray liners for each flavor. So depending on whether you get the mild, medium, hot, or hot AF, you get different designs on your tray liner.
That's great.
To just fun little things here and there. And I think it makes people think that, whoever's in charge of that brand and whoever's in charge of that business cares. And I think it helps them to come back and stay loyal to that brand.
Sam, how many restaurants are you opening and how many do you plan to open?
So the goal for Hot Chicks is to have 6 by the end of 2021. We have 1 unit open right now, 2 more under construction. I think the next unit will open in May, and the 3rd unit will either be late May or early June.
That's a lot of restaurants to open back to back. That's very challenging.
Our goal was immediately to flood the market and have a large presence in the Metroplex. Our first location is in Plano. The location to open next is in Willow Park, Texas, which is outside of Fort Worth. 3rd location will be on SMU Boulevard in Dallas. We're trying to cover the map so you don't have to drive too far to get a taste of the food. There is really something addicting about our blend of spices and sweet that goes in it that makes you crave it pretty frequently.
There's that concept that I remember when I worked at Tracy Locke with, we did Frito-Lay, and we all knew that there was something in that recipe that made it so addicting that you couldn't stop eating Doritos. Is that something that you knew about and you worked that into the recipe?
When we started doing our taste test, when we were going to do it as a ghost kitchen concept, we would eat it today, and then literally the next day I would wake up craving it again, and my wife would crave it the same. And my business partner the next day, you just can't get enough of it. And, at first I thought we were just being biased because it's something new. Yeah, so after we would do taste tests on our friends, they would call us the following day and ask for more. There's something craveable about the recipe and, the overall outcome of the food.
Did you create that recipe or somebody in your restaurants?
Initially, when we first started the research and development, we brought on a chef. But I felt like they were overcomplicating it. And, we had all these different spices in there and all these different powders. And I kind of stopped that and I recreated it myself from scratch. Everything we use is 100% all natural. We don't use any extracts or any seasonings that aren't natural. Kept going back and forth and we finally got our perfect mix. So.
Rodrigo, are you addicted?
Oh yeah. I fortunately I live close by. It's only like 10-15 minutes away, so it's not just lip service, but yeah, I'll constantly be going over there and picking stuff up for me and for the family, because we do crave it on a regular basis. Once you've tried it, you're like, hey, I gotta go back and get some more.
Well, that sounds like a future ad campaign to me.
Right.
Something about addiction, Hot Chicks, addiction. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been super fun to work on and very challenging and entertaining at the same time. And so it's been very rewarding. And that's what you dream of doing, is working on something that you have fun doing, but also just a product that you yourself love. How
do you have the energy to handle all this, Sam? I mean, you've got all these nightclubs and going to be 6 on the Hot Chicks restaurants. Do you sleep?
The passion drives us. And if I don't go to Hot Chicks for a couple of days and I really miss the food and the concept, if I don't go to one of the nightclubs, I'll miss it. At the end of the day, we're selling an experience. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
You're doing a great job, and Rodrigo Fortunato did a great job on the branding, and I congratulate you both, and thank you so much for this interview. Okay.
All right.